right? I hear from parents all the time, their kids come home from school and what happens? They're famished. They're so hungry because they've been on this schedule, but it's not what their body really needed or wanted, right? They've just been moving along. Maybe they really were only snack hungry when lunchtime was. I've heard some lunches before like 11 a.m. like y'all. But anyway, that's when their lunch block was. Then they come home from the day. It's 3 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock, whatever it is. And they are just like, give me all the food. And it's just because their body didn't get what it needed. Could be the same experience you're having. That's really true for anybody. We talk about where that eating shows up, where it used to be, we think we're overeating, but really it's your body going, all right, listen, you've been so busy this part of the day. Could we just pay attention to hunger and fullness over here? And that could be what's happening. But we do, I think, sometimes get stuck in this place where we are, I'm going to try this screen share thing, where we're really trying to define. All right, let's see if okay, here we go. Yay. All right, let's see. Ta-da. Trying something new tonight, y'all. We are trying to define what is normal eating. And I want to talk about this a little bit. I even have found this amazing resource I didn't even see before. I'm so excited about it. But first, what I want to do is kind of establish, let's grab something to write with here. I don't think that color is going to work for us though. I think it's going to get really hard to see on here. Okay, let's talk about the spectrum of eating. Told y'all, I'm not sure I am the person to do this. All right, well, we might just use something else because clearly, oh my God, well, it's writing with my finger, so we might just go to doing that. All right. So let's talk about normal eating. This is our spectrum, right? So it starts off with normal eating, which is what we're going to work on. And then this would be our disordered eating. And then this would be eating disorders. So this kind of spectrum, right? This line from normal to eating disorders. And what we're trying to define and we're trying to find is what is normal eating. So when you think about, eating disorders, this is your BED, right? Your binge eating disorder, like actual defined binge eating. And then, and then this would anorexia, bulimia, right? That's what you're going to find in eating disorders. What I would say, we talk about this a lot in here, and I would say this is your mark, kind of like orthorexia. I know we talk about orthorexia. It is not a diagnosed eating disorder. In the DSM, that's the Diagnostic Statistic Manual. That's a mouthful. That's my psychology days coming back. It's not in there yet, but I can't, so I don't want to put it in ED, but it really is bordering that line. Then, of course, you have disordered eating, which you're probably feeling really familiar with at this point, right? Like understanding you're not diagnosed with an eating disorder, but you've experienced yo-yo dieting, really rigid food rules. It could be even just like obsessively thinking about food, feeling shame, guilt, emotional eating, having really rigid exercising, patterns, all of that. Disordered eating can really fluctuate in intensity. You can kind of see like where this might go, right? All the way up to a diagnosed eating disorder. And many people, I would say, don't recognize disordered eating, like how problematic this is. This is what's normalized. Like this whole thing in here, I don't know why I'm popping this up, y'all. I'm just going to end up this whole thing. Oh, right here. This is normalized right here, sometimes celebrated. What we're trying to focus on is normal eating. What is normal eating? So I started doing some digging. And do you actually know that that term is actually like founded by someone, like someone actually did the work and defined normal eating. And I found a resource I can get to you all that I thought was so helpful. She's a dietitian, she and therapist, I believe. She specializes in family feeding. Ellen Satter, Satter is her name. And normal eating is, of course, a healthy relationship to food, to exercise, and I would even include to body image. So, some things that you could think about for normal eating. Normal eating is, going to the table hungry and eating until you feel satisfied. You notice fullness, you're like, oh, that's good, I'm good. It's being able to choose food that you like and eat it. Truly, feeling like you've had the amount that you want, not stopping because you think you should, like you need to limit it. Um, Normal eating is being able to give some thought to your food, right? You're not numb to any of that. Like you actually think about, what sounds good, what would be nutritious, without being restrictive, without, missing out on foods that are just for pleasure. Um, Normal eating is giving yourself to eat, giving yourself permission to eat, not giving yourself to eat. Oof. Giving yourself permission to eat just because you are happy. I always use that example of a birthday party. We get so upset with um, emotional eating, when it's so judged and it's so ridiculed. But how many birthday parties do we grow up going to, or, take our kids to, or all of that, where it's like we're celebrating our weddings, whatever, right? But you give yourself permission to eat when maybe you're happy, you're sad, you are bored, just because food feels good. Um, Normal eating is, most of the time 3 meals a day, but it could be 4, could be 5. It might be sometimes eating more than you need, right? Feeling like stuffed. That's normal. It's leaving those M&Ms that are sitting there on the counter because like you're like, I don't really care, I can have some tomorrow, I don't really want any more. It's eating more because something just tastes good. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, right? Sometimes it's overeating. Sometimes it's undereating, wishing you had more. Normal eating, I love this, is trusting your body to make up for your mistakes in eating, right? Like I trust my body to do what it needs to do if I haven't had enough, if I feel like I ate too much. I even, was thinking about this so much last week because I was sick. And there were times where I was like, the idea of food made me ill, like legit made me just nauseous. And then there were other times I was like, oh my gosh, I really haven't eaten like hours and hours and hours and hours, which is not common for me. And I just like ate I was full. Normal eating will take up, sometimes some of your energy, but it's only like one area of your life. It's not like the focus, right? It's like one of many things. I I love how I actually went on her website, and again, I can share any resources that you're interested in. She talks about how normal eating is flexible. It varies. We talk about that. Like hunger varies from day to day. Your schedule, and this is where Carrie's awesome question lands us today. Even your proximity to food, it can vary based on your feelings, like how you are feeling that day. I'm just talking about feeling super sick. That's how flexible normal eating is. So the exercise that I'd really like you to participate in, if you'd give some time to it, is taking all those things into account that I've shared here about normal eating. And you can go back since you have the replay and kind of scoot down, like some of those, scoot back, write down some of those things about normal eating. And then for yourself, what is your definition of normal eating? you may already have some idea because you've been feeling like pieces of normal eating, or I know some of you are experiencing what you feel like is normal eating. Write it down. Write it down. Like, what is your own definition? And again, coming back to what Carrie had asked about, normal eating during the school day, during the week when you're working, and I would say this is true for anybody, it might look different. It's normal to be like, well, I actually want, something more at 3. Like, I'm not snack hungry. The snack, maybe I have something snack-ish at a different time, but I'm actually meal hungry here. And this is normal because I'm really hearing that my body's like, hey, you've been going all day long. You've had very little time. You've been, working, your brain's been going, all that, and you're hungry. So would you add anything to the definition of normal eating? And again, I want to give Ellen Satter credit for, defining normal eating. And I did find a handout. I think I'll download it, try to get it over to you again. Her website, she has an institution and helps people really, even anywhere they could be on this spectrum, but get to the place of normal. And really even passing that normal along. You might, if you have kids or you think back to when your kids were younger, what eating looked like for them. And that's where I take that example from 15 years ago. I'm just going to stop this share for a second here. From 15 years ago, I take that example because it was a huge lesson for me. I actually had 2 raisers and 2 who were more like systematic in their eating, I suppose. And what's really interesting is watching over time how that's, kind of shifted through their different seasons. So a good reminder how hunger can vary, how normal eating for you, what it looked like even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or what you thought was normal, but it really was on the spectrum towards disordered. You weren't on a diet, but you weren't over to this place outside of disordered eating, right? You thought it was normal, but what is it? You have the autonomy and the ability to define it for yourself. I think that's an amazing gift that you can give yourself is, okay, I get to define what is normal eating. Now, you might say, okay, Jen, I'm defining normal eating, and I'm really good with this. And I love these pieces of the definition you shared and including some of those elements, but I'm not there. That's okay. Now you actually have some things that like this is where I'm headed. Is there anything that I want to put in place that it feels like closer to this definition? Now, this is not a rule. This is not rigid. I always say write things in pencil, right? They might need to be adjusted. What is, and if you need to feel more comfortable, is what is your definition of normal eating right now, like in this season that you're in? And then even maybe, where do I want to head? Like, this is what I want it to be. I don't want you to get caught up in like the shoulds or has to be this way. And well, I'm not even there. You're just creating this definition and maybe pull one thing out of it. Like that, if you're not feeling like, well, I'm just not there. I don't feel really flexible with what I'm eating, or maybe you're really still kind of judging emotional eating. Or maybe it's the timing, right? You're like, okay, so I'm just going to let go of this part. It is normal to sometimes eat just because I'm bored. That's normal. And I'm not going to sit here and get caught up in that. It's amazing what happens when we actually can let that go. We've heard it here time and time and time again. I was thinking this last week again. I was like, imagine if, and I know myself again with orthorexia, I would have been still at the gym. I would have been killing myself and I would have been beating myself up. I wouldn't have even allowed myself to eat much because I wasn't working out if I didn't go to the gym. Like, I really had that moment, and it still hits me to this day. Like, what a difference. It is normal when you're not feeling well to say, really don't feel like eating. I know I'd probably feel a little bit better. Maybe I just can't. I just can't. I had so much water. I could have floated away just because I was like constantly coughing. I said, well, I'm well hydrated. And sleep was of more importance. We've talked about, high stress, different things going on in, your personal life. We've talked about, death and loss, like those things, trauma, like that's going to take higher precedent. Like it's normal to, put food in its rightful place. Like you are just one area. I have all these other things in my life. So I hope this is helpful. I'm gonna go make sure her website's great. She even had, I saw on her website, like her definition page of, it's like a PDF. I'm gonna grab it. What is normal eating? So what I'll do is just like a one-page thing. I'm gonna download this. I haven't done that